I told my tiny little toddler to pick up his toys the other day, and I kid you not, he told me to eat poop. I'm replacing the word poop, by the way, but it was just very offensive because this kid still relies on me. I still pay for all of his stuff. I still wipe his cheeks because he still wears diapers, and he has the audacity to say that to me. I'm not going to get into too much detail, but I once caught his puke in my hands, my bare hands. I don't know why I did that. It was just reflexes. But anyways, that's a story for a different day. I think the thing that hurt me the most was that I didn't have a proper comeback. Like, I usually have something in my back pocket to just whip out and offend him, but in that particular moment, he just stumped me. I was definitely not expecting that. But anyways, all jokes aside, let's get straight into today's video because we're not here to talk about children or puke in hands. We're actually here to talk about some pretty big announcements and pretty big leaks regarding Batman 2, or it's the sequel to the Reeves Batman universe. For those of you guys that don't know, there is supposed to be a new sequel in the works. It's supposed to start shooting within the next couple of months, and it is set to release in the summer of 2027. And I try to compile as much as I possibly could on the film, and in today's video, we're going to kind of go through everything. Now, some of these are pretty straightforward. There's nothing really too intricate to them. It's things that we already could just assume that were going to happen, but I'm still going to go through them, and then we're going to hit you guys with some absolute truth bombs and reveal some really big leaks when it comes down to this film. Now let's talk about some really big rumors. You have, for example, Scarlett Johansson, who is supposed to be jumping onto this project. According to multiple different sources, she is supposed to be Gilda Gold, who is technically Harvey Dent's wife in certain comic book runs. This is kind of interesting for a number of different reasons. We already know Scarlett Johansson has kind of inserted herself in a lot of really big projects. Not to mention, she has already been part of one big cinematic comic book universe, that being the MCU, and now she is jumping onto the DC cinematic universe. I know there are a lot of people out there, and I've read a ton of different comments, and I've seen a lot of content creators essentially bashing Scarlett because they're a little bit fatigued of her, but honestly, this is a really good pickup for Reeves. I think she's a phenomenal actress. Most people will only know her from the MCU, but she has had some really iconic roles. For example, she was phenomenal in Her. And if you want to go back to her origin story, go and watch amazing films like Lost in Translation, which just really showcases her full capability as an actress. But I think at minimum, she's going to bring a ton of experience. She knows what it takes to build a cinematic universe. She understands the complexities of it, and having her on board, I think, is an absolute plus. But obviously, if she comes on as Harvey Dent's love interest, well, it would only make sense for them to bring Harvey Dent into this particular universe, and that ties it back into our second leak, or our second rumor, and that is that potentially Sebastian Stan will be signing on to this project as Harvey Dent. Now, we don't have any clarification on whether he will become Two-Face in this film, or maybe that will be something that they set up for a future sequel. But there are rumors and some soft confirmations that Sebastian Stan will be playing a role, at least in some capacity. Similar to Scarlett Johansson, he has had some amazing projects in the past that showcases full range of talent, even though most people will know him as Bucky from the MCU. So now you have two seasoned, experienced actors who have been a part of really big superhero franchises, and I honestly don't see a downside to this. Moving on, we have all but confirmed that Zoe Kravitz will not be reprising her role as Catwoman. This has come from multiple different sources. There were even some articles out there that were claiming that she was asking interviewers not to ask her about Batman 2, which I think signifies, or I think could signify, a number of different things. Number one, she's just tired of hearing about sequels for the Batman when she's not a part of the future in the Reeves universe, or these actors and actresses have a huge ego and maybe it gets hurt every time they ask her about the sequel. I personally feel like it's a huge mistake to write her out of the Batman sequels because she was phenomenal as Catwoman. I believe her and Robert Pattinson had a ton of chemistry on screen, and she was easily one of the most underrated and one of the most memorable characters in the entire Batman film. And then next up, this has kind of been leaked by multiple different sources as well, but there are some rumors out there that Reeves does plan on integrating Robin into the sequel. I'm not sure exactly how he would do that, but he has actually talked throughout his time with this Batman project that he loves Robin, he loves those Batman and Robin storylines, and so I think it makes perfect sense for him to kind of tie Robin back into this. Now, I think maybe that could give us some insight into the overall theme, the overall setting of the sequel. Maybe it's a little bit more lighthearted. It isn't as dark and gritty. So it's definitely exciting, and maybe we get to see a different side of Gotham City in this film, because the original one definitely put you in the trenches, but it was dark, it was very gothic. Maybe they decide to take a slightly different approach here and give us something fresh, something innovative and creative to definitely catch our attention. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any names or any actors attached to the character of Robin, but as soon as we hear any rumblings, we will definitely keep you in the loop. Now, in terms of villains, we already know that we could potentially see Riddler reprise his role, but there are also other villains attached to this project that may either have cameos or maybe are mentioned in passing, or maybe they just have minor little Easter eggs in the film. But apparently there have been a lot of projects featuring Clayface that have been rumored for quite some time to be in the works. He was supposed to have some sort of origin story way back in the day. It's unclear whether they're still continuing with that idea. There have also been some small, tiny little rumblings regarding Hugo Strange potentially having a cameo or a brief little appearance in this film. Perhaps he has something to do with Clayface. Maybe he's behind the creation of Clayface himself. Now, I will say the chances of either one of those characters actually making a live action appearance are extremely slim, but it's still kind of fun to think about brand new Batman villains, because as much as I love the core characters that we constantly see fighting against Batman, I would love to see something new, kind of like a fresh new take on the DC cinematic universe. And those are two characters that, well, we've never seen in a live action portrayal. Now let's talk about some more confirmed returns, and some of these are pretty obvious, but I still wanted to talk about them really quickly. We will see Robert Pattinson return as the Batman. He's one of the most massively underrated actors of all time. If you guys haven't watched some of his older films like Water for Elephants and most recently The Tenant, he truly showcased his range of capabilities as an actor, and for the longest time people thought of him as just a shiny shirtless vampire, but over the time he has truly established himself as just a phenomenal actor all around. We are also seeing Jeffrey Wright return as Jim Gordon, which honestly I would have never thought of him as a proper Jim Gordon, but he did a phenomenal job. If you think back to, like, for example, some of his roles on Casino Royale, where he has that kind of intense but calm demeanor, he perfectly encapsulates everything that Jim Gordon is about. And then apparently we are having Barry Keoghan reprise his role as the Joker. By the way, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his last name. I could be butchering it. But to be brutally honest with you guys, I absolutely love the Joker character. I've grown up seeing people like Jack Nicholson, Heath Ledger play him, even Mark Hamill. They were all amazing, and I absolutely love it. He's probably my favorite villain of all time, but I will say I'm a little bit fatigued. I would have liked to see them take a completely different course here. It's kind of the same problem that I had with the Superman James Gunn film. I think it's absolutely breathtaking, potentially the best Superman film of all time, but the fact that he went back to give us another origin story featuring Lex Luthor, I think was really disappointing. There are so many great Superman villains. There are so many great Batman villains as well. I think it's an absolute shame that they always encapsulate themselves into the same handful of villains without truly exploring all of the rogues gallery from the Batman universe. But I'm just a buffoon with a tiny little T-Rex brain. I'm actually very curious to see what all of you guys have to say. I essentially just wanted to bring together a little bit of speculation, a little bit of rumors, and some minor softly confirmed leaks, and hopefully all of you enjoyed it just as much as I enjoyed it. The process of putting it together. So stay safe out there, enjoy the hobby, watch movies, read comic books. Let me know if you disagree or agree with any of my mentions on today's video. Make sure to check out our older content. We do have a couple of top 10 videos, which I'm very proud of. It took a ton of effort to put together. Hopefully you guys find at least a couple of minutes to take a quick look. Thank you guys so much. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.